What up, what up, what up? Welcome to Hawks Hoops Live, my weekly NBA show every Tuesday at 8 o'clock on my YouTube. We're going to talk about all things NBA, what happened in the past week, might highlight some games, but we're just going to share my thoughts. Cool thing about this show, the coolest thing about this show, you can watch it live. You can hang out in the chat. You can change the vibe of the show with your comments. But even better, you can call in. Where's it at? There we go. We can call in 609-365-0382. I'm going to leave the phone lines open the whole show today. First week we didn't, but this week we're going to leave the phone lines open. And we're going to get ahead and hop right into it. First topic of the night. Let's start by talking about the Chicago Bulls and how they are just, I think it's really surprising a lot of people. I don't think anyone saw the Bulls being this. Let me rephrase. I think people did see the Bulls being good. I think people are surprised by the 4-0 start. But let's also think about this in some context. First off, let's praise the Bulls. They made some great offseason moves, picked up some people, and are performing well. First 4-0 start since 1996, since Jordan was there. This is the first time Zach LaVine's ever been 4-0 in his career, his NBA career, I should say. First time he's ever won 4 games in a row in his NBA career. This is big. This is big. The Bulls are doing what they should have done because this 4-0, I mean, is against subpar teams. It's against the Pistons, the Pelicans, the Pistons again, and then the Raptors, who didn't have Pascal Siakam. Am I trying to downplay their success? Am I trying to downplay how good they've been playing? No. I'm just trying to put it into context. I've seen a lot of people saying, watch out, Bulls, number 1 seed, Bulls all the way, Bulls title contenders. I'm just trying to curb expectations and put some context to things. But let's talk about it a little bit. So the Bulls are playing very, very well. 4-0 this season. The biggest takeaway for me before I get into some of my notes is the fact that the Bulls did beat these teams. The Bulls beat subpar teams. They beat teams that, especially Pistons, Pelicans, maybe Raptors once Siakam gets back, depends. Beat teams who I don't expect to make the playoffs. Beat teams who are probably going to be sub 500. If you're a good team, these are the games you're supposed to win. That's when you're starting out and starting to take that leap into a good team. This is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to beat the teams who aren't playoff teams. You're supposed to beat the teams, I should say, who aren't good, just flat out. And they're doing that, so I'm happy for them. So let's talk about what's working for the Bulls. Surprisingly, I didn't think it was going to click in this soon. And like I said, it's against subpar teams. But the Bulls defense has looked amazing. It's looked really, really well. They're 6th in the league in defensive rating right now. And it makes sense. They have players who can play defense. I think the combination of Lonzo and Caruso was wonderful defensively. And I think Zach LaVine could grow into a really good defender. He has the frame for it. He has the agility for it. He has the athleticism for it. I don't know if he'll be, an amazing defender, really locking down, really clamping because he's putting so much energy on the offensive side of the court. But I think he could be a good defender. DeRozan's not a terrible defender. I would love to see Vucevic grow into a better defender. Would love to see that. He's currently winning them. He's currently leading them in defensive win shares. It doesn't mean a ton for me personally. If he can grow to be a better rim protector, that would just make them even better. Speaking of Nikola Vucevic, he's struggling right now. And that's also I can commend them for how well they have been playing and the fact that they have beat the teams that they've beat with him struggling because other players are playing so well. Vucevic is overall down offensively right now. His points per game is down a couple. And he's having career low percentages, and his field goal percentage is 39%, 3-point percentage, 29%. I don't think he'll stay there. I think for the first time, he's having issues mainly because he, what's the word I'm looking for? He has better players around him. Like in Orlando, he was the guy. No one else was getting the ball. It was all on him. It was all expected to be him. And I think now he just has a little bit more, let's get used to playing with other people. His shot touches are down a little bit. Like his attempts are down. He's just not hitting shots. And I think that'll change. He's not a 39% field goal player. He's not a 21% 3-point shooter. He'll get better. But the Bulls have a rough stretch coming up, and that's why I'm like, this is what we'll see how good they really are. Well, this is where we'll see if how elite they are, if you will. Let's take a look. So the Bulls, like we said, they beat the Pistons, they beat the Pelicans, they beat the Pistons again, they beat the Raptors. But then they come in this really tough stretch, basically leading up through Thanksgiving. They play the Knicks, the Jazz, Celtics, Sixers, Nets, Mavericks, Warriors, Clippers, Lakers. Trailblazers, they're struggling right now, but I think they'll be better by then. The Nuggets, they play a lot of good teams. You see it. They don't start playing bad teams again until the Magic. That's November 26th. How many games they're going to win in this time frame right here, I don't really know, but it's going to be really tough for them. Let's continue on. Let's talk about, I just want to really briefly talk about these rookies. This rookie class, this 2021 rookie class is really entertaining. They're really good to watch. I'm really enjoying watching them. I'll be honest, I don't do a ton of research about rookies coming into the league. I don't watch a ton of college ball. I watch the tournament. That's about the extent of my college ball. I'll read about some draft boards, predictions, things like that around draft time, I should say. But I don't fully invest in learning about every prospect coming into the league. But these guys are good. Like, this is a really, especially like the lottery picks, they're really fun to watch. Davion Mitchell, he's been dubbed off night because if when he plays you're going to have an off night. Jalen Green's been making the Rockets fun to watch. Chris Duarte for the Pacers. I'm really excited for him because I think he has the potential to play for a good team. Like, the Pacers could be a playoff team. He can have impactful minutes and impactful game for a playoff team. So I think that's really promising for him. Scotty Barnes on the Raptors. Evan Mobley on the Cavs. These are just fun guys to watch. That's all I really wanted to say. If you can catch these rookies play, do it. Especially Davion Mitchell. If you want to see your favorite point guard be frustrated for 48 minutes, not 48, but you get what I'm saying. Watch the Kings basketball. Early in the news this week, Steve Nash came out and said that James Harden is now becoming the face of this new free throw rule, the poster boy, if you will, of this new free throw rule, because he's starting off very slow. James Harden is not looking like himself. We've seen clips of him being visibly frustrated when he's making a move that he's made over the last literally 5 years, and he's gotten foul calls for it, and he's not getting these calls, and he's clearly frustrated. But let's calm down. Let's stop calling James Harden washed. Let's stop saying he was only getting free throws and getting fouled, and that's why he was elite. Because that's clearly not the only reason he was elite. Was he very good at drawing fouls? Yes. Is his free throws way lower than previous seasons? Yes. Does that play a factor into probably why he's not playing that well? A little bit. And this is why. You'll hear it all the time. Coaches will say, if you're having an off night or if your shot's not falling, they'll say, go to the rim, get to the line, see some shots go in. Because if you're a good shooter, if you're an elite offensive player, sometimes that's all it takes to see 1 or 2 shots go in. And even if that was 1 or 2 or free throws, that's all it takes. James Harden, on the other hand, he's just not playing well right now. And that's okay. To be honest with you, he doesn't look like he's fully in shape. He doesn't look as fast as he normally is. He looks, I'll say not as extreme, but looks very similar to his last season in Houston. Started that season really rough. Part of that was because he obviously wanted to get traded, but he started the season rough, and he's starting rough now. But I think he'll be fine. And now a couple of other just thoughts about the new free throw rule. It's the lowest free throw attempts in NBA history so far. Do I think it'll stay that way? No. Once again, small sample size. The name of this show, this episode right now, small sample size. That's the name of today's episode. 19.5 free throws per game teams are taking. The lowest in NBA history. I would say it's affecting players. Not a ton, but very similar to James Harden. I think some players who were used to getting fouls for certain things, they tried it the first couple of games. They didn't get them. I think they'll adjust. I saw Steph Curry lean into a guy a couple of times, didn't get it. I saw Russell Westbrook lean into a guy's on a three-pointer, didn't get it. I already mentioned Harden. Trae Young, I saw do it a little bit. So the guys who already were doing it, especially on the drive, they aren't getting those calls. they're visibly frustrated when they don't get the calls. I've seen even coaches frustrated when the players aren't getting these calls, but I'm happy and I commend the refs. I commend the NBA. I commend Adam Silver for one, making this change and sticking to it. When this change was announced and over the offseason, I was very, very hesitant on being optimistic about them actually implementing it because I get it. It's tough. When you got these NBA players, they're going to be in your face. They're going to be yelling at you as a ref. Like, why aren't you giving me this call? The ability for them to stick to it, I commend them for that. But like I said, it could have impact for some players not seeing the ball go in, get to the line. That's usually their go-to. I mean, granted, fouls are still being called, just obviously at an all-time low. I just hope the NBA stands their ground here. They don't fold. They stay with this long-term. And I think it's making for really, really good basketball. It doesn't have the constant stoppage for free throws every couple of seconds. You can really get some long stretches with no fouls and really just enjoy watching basketball. I commend them for it. All right, let's continue on. Let's quickly talk about let's talk about some teams I'm really just excited. Teams that I think are playing well right now. We already talked about we already talked about the Bulls, the only undefeated team left at the top of the show. Let's continue on and talk about a couple of other teams. It's not a really, really long episode for you guys today. Didn't want to hold you guys long this week. I actually want to watch some of the games. So we're not going to be here OD long. Let's talk about the Charlotte Hornets. LaMelo Ball is much-watch basketball. The Hornets in general are must-watch basketball. LaMelo's playing very, very well. Still shooting the ball at a high clip, showing a lot of pace. He's playing with pace, and I like to see that so far. He's getting his other teammates involved. He's playing with pace. He's looking really, really good. I'm loving what I'm seeing from Miles Bridges. He's got the opportunity to be most improved. He's like my most improved front runner right now. He's showing a lot of growth. He's averaging 17 shot attempts per game. That's versus the 9 attempts he shot last season. I want to say just scored 30 the other night. He's having a really good season. Once again, small sample size. Yes, they have some players out. Terry Rozier, PJ Washington, both listed day to day. I don't know if PJ Washington is necessarily going to take shots from Miles Bridges. Terry Rozier might take a couple shots from when he comes in, but I don't expect his shots to go back down to 9. I think the team has seen what he can do. I think he's seen what he can do. And I think he'll probably, once Rozier and PJ come back, I can see him being around 12 shots a game. But I hope this style of play that he's playing doesn't go away. Is he ISO-ing, binking with the ball? No, not necessarily. He's off cuts, shooting the leather off the ball right now. And he's just playing really, really well. I'm really happy to see that for them. Let's talk about the Miami Heat. The addition of Kyle Lowry could potentially be the best offseason move. And I think, yes, it might be a little early. Once again, small sample size. But I think that could be the addition of the offseason. The impact that Kyle Lowry is having on the Miami Heat, it's not popping up on the box score. If you look at his counting stats, they're not great. 7 points, 7 assists, 26% from the field, 16% from 3. He's not really wowing you with his counting stats. But when you watch the game, his pace, his leadership, it's there. And you can see it there when you look at Tyler Hero's play. Tyler Hero right now is my lead for 6 Man of the Year. He is playing out of his mind. Bubble Hero is in full effect. So right now, Tyler Hero's average of 23, 7 and 4, all career numbers. Percentages are a little low, but I think that's because he's taking it more attempts. He's got to used to taking these many attempts. Percentages are down a little bit, but nothing to cry about or be freaking out about. But Kyle Lowry is doing so much for Tyler Hero, I believe. And Tyler Hero said it himself. Recently, he said to Sports Illustrated, "I love playing with Kyle Lowry. My first 2 years in the league, I didn't really have a point guard that could get everyone organized into their spots. That's no knock on my previous teammates. It's just the way that Kyle gets everyone to their spots. He's how he's a leader. He just understands the game in a way that not many people do. Just being next to him is obviously amazing for me. So he realizes it, which is great. He realizes the impact that Kyle Lowry's having on his game. The players realize the impact. I think Kyle Lowry is the biggest pickup because he can make Tyler Hero $6 million a year. Well, do I think Tyler Hero is going to keep this up all season? I don't fully know. I don't know if he's going to stay around, what did I say, 23 points a game. 19, 18, 20? If you can give me 19, 18 points off the bench for the rest of the season on the percentages that he's doing, $6 million a year. I don't care. Kyle Lowry, let's talk about him real quick. Like I said, numbers aren't necessarily jumping out at you, but his impact is there. You heard it in what Tyler Hero said. You see it in Tyler Hero's game. You see it in how the Miami Heat are playing with a little bit better pace. And let me just start out. Well, let me interject and say this isn't a knock on what is the name of their point guard they just got rid of? Oh my gosh. Gordon Dragic. My brain kept saying Dragon, but this isn't a knock on Dragic. I think Dragic was good in that bubble year because he was a scorer. He scored so much for them. And that's what I think Tyler Hero was alluding to in the terms of he hasn't had a point guard who can set him up. And that's just who Dragic was. He was a scorer. They needed him to be a scorer. He went out, gave him 20 points a game. Beautiful. But I think Kyle Lowry has that ability to maybe give them like 12, 15 points a game. He's definitely got to score more. He cannot finish the season 7-7. He's got to score more. But if he can get around 15 points a game, continue to control the pace, continue to get his players involved, the Heat are deadly, bro. Like the Heat, what are the Heat, like top 4? What do you got? Like, you got the Nets, you got the Bucks. I'm locking them two at 1-2. If the Sixers figure out whatever's going on, I want to lock them at 3, but I don't really know. And then after that, I think the Heat could be 3 or 4. So the Heat, watch out for them. They can really, really be fun this year to watch. And the last thing I want to talk about, like I said, I didn't want to keep you guys here long, but if the season ended today, Ja Morant is MVP. There's literally no ifs, ands, or buts. You can make an argument for Steph. Steph's been playing great. He looks like an MVP himself. But the storyline of Ja Morant, the growth, this only being his 3rd year, and he's looking like how he's looking now. Ja Morant, 35 points, 8 assists, 58% from the field, 44% from 3. If he can keep this high level of 3-point shots, like this high 3-point percentage up, it really is going to open up his game so much. He's led Memphis to the best offensive rating in the league, literally because of him. He has had some amazing games. He's really playing with a lot of energy, shooting the ball well. Do I think he's going to sustain it all season? I truly don't know. I don't know. I need to watch some more of their games. I'll admit I haven't seen them a ton. I did watch that Lakers game where he missed that last, potentially game timing free throw. Gave the Lakers their first win on the season. But I'm loving his game. I just need to watch him a little bit more. I'm absolutely loving his game, though. But like I said, guys, I wasn't going to keep you here long. We didn't have much to talk about on the docket this week. I didn't want to have a crazy long episode. I will see you guys next week, Tuesday, 8 o'clock. This is why you got to tune in, because sometimes we'll have a half-hour episode. Sometimes we'll have a 20-minute episode. Catch you next one. I'm out. Peace.